some of the attacks she's already seen, in my opinion, feel very gendered and racialized. We've seen some critiques about how she laughs. And we've also seen some critiques that she is just a stepmom and has not given birth herself. What have you made of the early attacks against Vice President Harris?
Yeah. I mean, I absolutely, again, a lot of these attacks have been filtering not only through the internet, but through the RNC and through the Trump campaign for, like I said, many years. And so attacks on the laugh, right? This is something Donald Trump has attacked women's looks and voices historically. That's a trope, right? It is saying like, we don't want to listen to women. They're so jarring. And it's a contrast to what is actually like the power of women's voices, right? And so if you critique the actual tenor of the voice instead of the substance, right, you try to diminish the seriousness of that candidate. So I think we're definitely seeing that in a sort of gendered way that is been used. It was used against Clinton. It will be used against many other women in powerful positions to say, I just can't listen to that voice, right? And so the laugh is part of that. We've seen attacks on her qualifications. That's playing absolutely into perceptions. We know that people assume credentials for men. They assume white men are particularly qualified for any position of leadership because they've seen them in those positions of leadership. They tend to question and seek out credentials for women and question whether or not they actually have the skills and expertise necessary for the job. So if you are somebody running against a woman, you're going to start to try to put holes in those credentials. You're going to use sexualized tropes like she slept her way to the top. We're seeing that happen to Kamala Harris. This is not new. But so what that means for the campaign and her advocates is they're going to have to talk more about her credentials to push back. She has plenty, so it shouldn't be that hard, but that's absolutely a tactic. And then you mentioned, the motherhood piece, and I would add to that in terms of race, folks saying she's not Black enough, she's not mom enough, right? And so this piece on identity is really complex. In that we have purity standards sometimes for these identities. And she's going to push against them. She's multiracial, right? And so to the extent that she has already and will continue to push back against these purity kind of standards for any identity, I also think there are big swaths of the population who will actually relate to that, right? There are a lot of stepmothers or bonus moms who are going like, wait a second, hold on, right? And maybe I can identify with her in a unique way. Or multiracial populations, which are absolutely growing across the United States. So I think you absolutely think she's going to face, but at the same point, there are ways for her to leverage these identities and these questions as well into discussion and advantages. Maybe not her directly. I think she'll probably try to stick to the campaign issues, but certainly those who are around her and who will speak on her behalf and advocate for her.